listen. Godzilla is a part of the Criterion Collection. We're talking about a figure so iconic that it represented a country's anguish after war. It's had a crazy amount of iterations in its 65 years. Some have deemed Godzilla a male, others a female. Godzilla once had a kid who could talk. It's fought giant spiders, moss, a robot version of itself from the future. There's been moments where Godzilla has jetpacked away. He did whatever this is once. We're talking about a creature who has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That said, I've never seen a fan base that loves the character for like 3 distinct reasons. Some are just action fans who love the idea of it being a monster bash and want to take advantage of that IMAX regardless of the lore. There are those who have a deep connection to it through nostalgia and what it personally means to them. Like, I stumbled upon this video from Up From the Depths who was talking about these monster movies as being his version of superhero movies growing up and realizing that these creature features have a bigger impact than we know. And then there's of course the ultimate origins of it, the metaphors that it represents, from a country's response to a war to literally representing Earth and other national disasters that have hit that same country. This new one is the weirdest mashup of all 3 I've ever seen. It's definitely got the action that a lot of people wanted, but if you thought that the 2014 film didn't show enough monster fighting, they got you covered here. That said, even if you like the action, I don't know what they were thinking with the humans in this. Like, the human characters are nothing but signs in this movie. They are billboards, narrators. They give you more information than a Disney tour guide does. One of them literally says, "Oh my God, Zilla." There's a reason they're not mentioned in the title. So I'm surprised they spent so much time on them. It should have been more dedicated to the monsters in my opinion, and I think it would have benefited if they saved this one for a couple installments later, because these human Wikipedia pages actually inform you in the movie that Godzilla does have history with every single one of these monsters. We just haven't seen it yet. And of course they can pull a BVS and where, it's WB again, saying that they don't want to make new installments. They're just relying on fans knowing what happened in the originals, but it's like, no, that's why you're remaking this movie. I want to see all of it. Jumping straight into this main fight after only 2 movies in this monsterverse is crazy. Can you imagine if we got Iron Man 1, Cap 1, and then Civil War? Like, they just pulled a click and fast forwarded to the climax. I guess they're saving Kong for the end game of it all, but damn, y'all went from teasing me with Godzilla in 2014 to showing me nothing but his butt. But as much as I didn't like the human storyline in this, I can't bash a movie with this title for giving me exactly those fight scenes in IMAX. And even though I would consider it a rent it, it's still worth seeing on the big screen. Let me explain while we
let them fight.
So looking back at Godzilla 2014, it's kind of crazy to remember that was an art house film with an insane budget, which is funny considering that the director, Gareth Edwards, only had 1 film out, which he directed, wrote, he shot it himself. He even did the entire VFX for the movie on his own laptop at home, and Hollywood clearly took notice. Like, this man steered a blockbuster franchise into becoming a family drama. This is a Godzilla movie with Emmy legend Bryan Cranston, Oscar winner Juliette Binoche. It's said to have made Tarantino cry. This is a 2-hour monster movie that created a gif I use frequently, and yet it only shows Godzilla for 10 minutes? 10 minutes? Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the perspective here was all about a family. This is the realistic viewpoint of the impact of being like Godzilla has on everyday life, of a boy who lost his parents because of a cover-up that was going on in order to hide this beast that was down below, of a man who then grows up to face that exact force of nature that killed his parents when he was younger and now is facing it again. It's the story of this character accepting the cycle of nature and realizing that you can't fight it, you can only adapt with it, just like Godzilla and its sequels. That said, the sequel to this one did the complete opposite.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years.
So again, if you liked the 2014 one and you thought the characters were great and, that movie was called Godzilla but didn't really show him, know that the title for this one, that's what it's giving you. It's giving you Godzilla, King of the Monsters. We follow this character played by Millie Bobby Brown, who gets access to these whereabouts because she was in Stranger Things. Her mom's also a scientist working with the Monarch Corporation, and they're pretty much the Dharma Initiative, but strictly for monsters. They've created this frequency machine that they hope will control what they see as titans. That is until Tywin Lannister breaks in and takes the machine, because he obviously has a thing for dragons. Now, to me, these guys were practically Far Cry villains. This was like watching Uncharted cutscenes, but on IMAX, because to me, they didn't look like movie sets. This looked like video game maps, and I kind of like that. Like, I've been hearing people complain about the look of the movie, which is kind of weird to me because, again, I get not liking the characters. They were paper thin. There weren't even any characters. And I also understand feeling bombarded with the effects if you thought it was going to be like the 2014 version. But I've seen people who were praising the trailers. They were talking about all the clips. They loved the thing that they showed right before Endgame. And then all of a sudden they see the actual movie and they think it looks like crap. I'm like, aren't these the same shots you were just praising in the promos? Either way, like I said, I thought the sets were cool only because I kept thinking, man, I want to play Donkey Kong on this thing right here. Congress is involved now that the monster issue has become a worldwide catastrophe. They're struggling to figure out their purpose considering they've been buried under the earth for so long. Like, what were they doing in the past when they were above ground? And this could have been a really dope thing to explore, right? The politics, the arguing between countries of what they're going to do, the historical stuff dealing with these monsters and all of that stuff, and they save it for the previous movies because here they treat the entire thing like a joke.
What's your character's name?
Sam Coleman.
You could have made that up, I don't know.
Like, forget Thomas Verizon Middleditch cracking some quips here and there. What I'm saying is none of these actors feel like they're actually in their profession. Like, they feel like actors playing scientists. It feels like you're watching a high school improv club where someone just yelled out, "You're a soldier," and they try their darndest to convince you that they're that, but it's O'Shea. It's Hamilton Jr. I love these actors, but the lines they gave you were crap. Hell, there's a moment where they made Dr. Shen's character say, "I've been researching these monsters for 10 years. And I was like, girl, no, you haven't. You just found out that was your line 10 minutes ago. That said, I think it's important to understand what they're doing here because on the lore side of things, this movie isn't built for general audiences. This is meant for super fans who are going to understand the small little things there, because this actress also plays two characters who come from a long lineage of twins that call back to a previous installment. Everyone who Godzilla fights has a connection with Godzilla, which you only know if you've seen the previous installments. And the bad characters is also a callback to the era of Godzilla movies that didn't care about scripts, as seen in some of the previous installments. The good guys then decide to pick up Kyle Chandler since he's the ex-husband of Vera Farmiga's character, and I guess they assumed that he would be able to help find them, but I actually felt for Kyle's character. Before the third act, of course. This is a guy who lost his son in San Francisco with the 2014 attack. He then loses his wife, who instead of staying with him, devotes herself to researching these monsters over, reconnecting their marriage. So I understand why this man hates Godzilla. Godzilla caused his divorce. That said, he is the one who knows the most about these titans, so he really has no choice but to help out. And hot damn do they make him look like an idiot. When this man goes to save his family in Antarctica, and right when he tells them to come with him, his ex and his daughter choose to stay with the bad guy.
That fucking bitch!
So now I'm being told that Vera Farmiga has actually been working with Charles Whitmore 2.0 over here, and I'm not going to be rooting for her then. She's working for the bad guys because she just recently caught First Reformed and realized that humans have been destroying the planet, and she, for whatever reason, thinks that releasing these monsters will help destroy it faster? Ma'am, I don't know if you've seen what's happened in Brazil, but these monsters ain't cleaning up anything. If they killed all of the people who are still alive, then just like Brazil, all of our stadiums and gas stations and everything are just going to be leaking and causing problems. You can wipe out humans, sure. But you expect me to believe Godzilla's gonna put on a jumpsuit and sweep and mop? She's talking about these titans as if they were Earth's Roombas who get released to clean it up. That said, it's also clear she doesn't care about her daughter or anybody else, because when she gets the moment to release one of the monsters, knowing good and well it's about to kill all these soldiers she's known, scientists she's worked with, and even her own husband, she presses the button. Remember, the only reason this fool's in Antarctica to begin with was to save her, and she released a triple threat blue eyes white dragon on him. This man's testosterone must be below 0. Millie then demands more screen time, so her scenes randomly turn into slow-mo for no reason, but then we get the spectacle. Round 1 is Godzilla versus Ghidorah, who's this monster that Vera released, and it has these 3 heads that can keep regenerating if they're cut off, so Godzilla comes in with all he's got. Our boy enters in like a WWE star, theme music and all. Humans turn into mere bugs during this battle, and while they're duking it out, both of them are landing good hits. The humans then decide to interfere? Like, remember, They are fully cognitive on the fact that Godzilla is helping them. They're aware he's been on their side, protecting them, and yet they still decide to drop a bomb on both creatures, killing Godzilla and allowing Ghidorah to get away? Y'all are no better than the bad guys. Vera then releases every other Titan, and you realize how strong these monsters are? Because not only have they been sleeping underground, but you gotta think of it this way. The facilities that are built to keep them there are supposed to be state of the art. Like, these aren't commercial security systems, this ain't no ADT. This is the literal greatest form of armor the human race has ever created. Yeah, these Titans are busting through them like a Kool-Aid man. And then turns out that Ghidorah isn't a part of the Titans. Like, this wasn't buried underground like the rest of them. Ghidorah's not even from Earth. This is an alien from space that is considered to be a virus. It's manipulating these other monsters in order to take control of them. And the humans realize that the only thing that could take Ghidorah down is Godzilla, and they killed their only weapon. Stupid. Movie then literally takes a page from Batman v Superman, and you remember how on the nose the religious metaphors were there with the Superman of Nazareth? Well, Godzilla H. Christ here gets resurrected, cross imagery included, and they're even claiming long live the king and all. But what I thought was bogus was that in order to bring him back, they had to sacrifice Ken Watanabe's character. Like, Godzilla's at 1% down in the Earth's core. It's blazing hot down there, and they send this man to detonate a nuke. Now, I don't know how this man survived staring at Godzilla with his hands exposed like that, considering he should have burned into a crisp. But the director literally had the audacity to say that somehow he might still be alive because no one's ever really gone.
No one's ever really gone.
Bruh, he blew up a nuclear bomb. You better mean he's returning as a script consultant, because when you really think about it, in that entire scene, everyone on that submarine should have died. Like, these people were 20,000 leagues under the sea, and then they get bursted up above sea level. Like, they would have died. I hate to see Ken go, but I'm telling you right now, I better not see him ever again. They then think they can sneak in a quick one here, knowing good and well that the best quote from the first one was,
Let them fight.
and they think they can come up with a version 2.0 where they include themselves?
No, this time we join the fight.
Dr. Serizawa hasn't been gone for 24 hours and y'all already ruining his legacy? Massive destruction is happening all around the world, which we'll probably never see the aftermath of, but we realize that the real monster this entire time was Vera Farmiga. Millie then runs away from her mom and locks herself alone in her room because she's upset with the cameraman. And then, I kid you not, even though we have an entire organization known as Monarch who has endless resources to deal with these monsters, even though the United States military along with all of their allies are over here supervising and battling, even though we have the strongest monsters of all time, Millie Bobby Brown, I guess wins the Game of Thrones? I'ma just assume she's still playing her character 11. Girl legit breaks into Fenway Park, no problem. She sets up that frequency machine that, if you remember, where they were going throughout countries killing and scavenging for it, and I guess it was the easiest thing to steal, no security. She takes control of the monsters, she survives getting hit by a wall, and then, I kid you not, she stands directly in front of Ghidorah, all three of its faces, and yells louder than Jon Snow did to his ice dragon. Godzilla then comes in to lay down the dunk, and I thought this scene was fun. If you couldn't see the details, I'm just gonna say it's your theater, man. Your theater's trash because, granted, it may be a lot of lights, but I mean, these are fire-breathing behemoths. How else did you expect them to fight? Were you expecting a boxing match? Him and Mothra tag team for a bit, but then Mothra gets obliterated, but not before giving Godzilla its HP. Vera sacrifices herself in between all of the important stuff, which, I mean, yeah, you caused this. Of course you gotta sacrifice yourself. And then the craziest version of Godzilla gets fired up as it just obliterates Ghidorah after losing round 1. At this point, Boston just doesn't exist anymore. Like, that thing is gone like San Francisco. But at least everyone is thankful and they're showing their gratitude as they all bend the knee for Godzilla, praising the king of the monsters who's on their side. For now. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Like I said, is it the best Godzilla movie? No. Is it the loudest Godzilla movie? 1000%. I'm curious to know what people's IMAX was like. Because I knew the characters were going to be bad. A lot of people told me, so I just didn't go in there with any expectations. But I'm curious to see if like everyone had the problem that people are claiming. I feel like we have another episode 3 of Game of Thrones where people were saying it was too dark. Other people were saying no, it was fine. Do we have a situation here where the screenings certain people went to were bad and others were better? I don't know. I'm curious to see how the movie looked for you, but I mean, I hope the future ones have potential. It did some funny stuff. One of the better jokes was in the credits. If you stay for it, it actually credits the monsters as playing themselves. So I thought that was pretty cool. I also like the idea of having at least one straight out of Compton actor appear in each installment. You know, we got Eazy-E in Kong Skull Island. We got O'Shea, Ice, in this one. So I'm curious to see how long they keep that. Other than that, I'm curious to know your thoughts. I know Godzilla fans have been craving this movie. Critics didn't like it. Let's talk about it. I'll let you explain down below in the comment section. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and you'll win a trip to Skull Island.